15-10. As we said, just practicing long play games. Okay, they're going for tender pawn moves. Let's open this king pawn. Let's get the bishop out. So we may laugh at this type of opening, but it's like a kind of Stonewall-y type thing. Pawns pushing down. It's almost like old man's chess. Yeah. So I'm going to move the knight. Reminds me of games back in the day, just people pushing pawns, and we're just going to go for the lockdown. This is in essence my bread and butter, you know, because I was brought up with locking down, and I stayed away from it because it was so dry. I wanted to try and do something a bit more exciting. So we're used to doing lockdown stuff. It's not saying we're going to win, but we're very familiar with the sort of approach. As you can see, we're trying to develop our pieces. Now I think they've kind of woken up to the fact they need to develop the pieces. I think we could still go on castle, but they're probably going castle in queen side. I'm actually bringing the knight on the inside to maybe get the pawns married up a bit more. I'm going to push the pawns up here and maybe just get the queen here, and then we've got options and choices as where we're going with the castling. So I'm just bringing the queen here, trying to keep everything on the inside of the pawns. We could do en passant, does allow them to open up a little bit here, or we could just keep it locked down. I think keeping it locked down, seeing as they're playing as whites, they're the initiators, so they're kind of losing tempo in terms of developing their pieces. And which is the safest area to go? We could just go here with the king, but they're waiting for us to do some sort of maneuvers. They're not really bothered about castling at the minute. Is there anything else that we can do? At one point we're probably going to have to look to go for a break, but I'm just going to push this pawn here and maybe push this pawn. So are they looking? But this pawn is blocking there, so I'm going to just push this pawn, give them something to think about. So the knight is dancing, maybe looking to come round here type thing. So what do we want to do? We could go on castle. Don't want to waste any movements. Bishops aren't doing much. Bishops are all locked in. Queens here. Knight could make a move to get into this spot, which would be a bit annoying. So let's go here. Alright, so we could jump in here, fairly safe-ish, but the bishop's probably looking to take it at some point. But I'm just jumping the knight in here, just to try and manage a bit of space. So the bishop is going to be taking the knight off the board. We can move the knight back, we don't need to have it being taken. If the bishop does take, do we take here? It's got the flank pawn, or do we take here and it's got the centre-ish pawn? Could be a risk. And we could potentially look to go on castle. This area looks a little bit locked down, but really if we take here, then it's going to start pushing this pawn, start putting pressure over on this side. Is there anything else? We can't go here really, we lose a pawn. Could castle, like we said, just for a move. But all our pieces are on the other side of the board, so probably if we were going to castle queen side. It's just that we do have potential for this taking here. If the bishop does take, then they have this pawn. Is there anything else that we can do with that? Knight can jump here, blocking. I think we can castle queenside, you know. I'm going to castle queenside. If the bishop takes, we take with this pawn here. Bishop's not taking, so we can push onto this pawn now. I'm not sure if the lost tempo are not taking, but in any event, we're looking to just jump our knight here to block that pawn if it does happen. They look risk averse to capturing, so we're going to capture now. We've got two pieces on here, so I think the bishop will take the knight. No, they're not doing. So the bishop can take, or the knight can take. The knight's got a check on the king, so we may as well do that. And the queen's taken, but it's getting taken by the bishop. So I think we utilise the spaces appropriately in this particular game. It's not saying we've won because they're still carrying on, obviously. I thought they were going to blob. So we could attack the rook and attack the pawn at the same time. Are we falling into any traps? This pawn can take, and we've got pieces covering. So if we bring the bishop and attack the pawn, alright, so they're going for kamikaze. If we take with the queen, we're on their rook. So I'm going to take with the queen. So we've got sights here, and we're also on this rook as well. So we've got two pieces attacking. So I'm going to actually, do I have time? Yeah, let's just take, because it's a higher piece. So they take the bishop. And we can swing our queen around. Don't need to panic. We can take this pawn. Make space to attack their king area. Do have a fork with the pawn, so we could get a knight off the board. Where we're sending the knight to? The knight's probably going to attack our queen. And we can't come here because the knight will be protecting that area. So a bit mindful of that little trick. Maybe we can put that in our back pocket and just bring the queen here. Going to bring the queen here. Still looking for the fork here. Can his knight still jump and whirlwind? Yeah, it can still attack the queen here, can't it? But I suppose we can just drop here and put a check on the king. Then the rook comes here. Yeah, they did see that fork. I knew they did. Alright, so let's see what we've got. Pawn can take. Or do we bring the queen in front of the knight first? But then his knight can come and attack. I don't want to get arty. Let's just simple take first. And then we've got space potentially for the rook. One of the rooks to come and attack the king. Or put pressure onto the king. So the Stonewall thing, like I said, I've brought myself up with the Stonewall. We could go here, put a check on the king, but the knight just jumps back. So I think really keeping it simple. Ooh. Probably taking with the queen, because the rook's going to come here, put a pressure onto. If we take the bishop, take the knight, rook comes across. We can't come here with the queen because the knight's protecting. So I think we'll just take with the queen. Trying to keep it real dirt simple. If I get fancy, I'm going to end up losing the queen. Get a bad position. So at the minute, their bishops. Okay, so we can challenge the rook now. So this is pretty straightforward now. It looks like the opponent may resign at any time now. So that was a fast-paced game. It's a 15-minute, 10-second game. The opponent's still on 16 minutes. Alright, so that's pretty straightforward. Just take and X-ray him through to the king. And take the pawn off the board with a check and get the bishop off the board. Take the bishop off the board. Don't need to be fancy or arty. The king's got space to move. There's going to be no stalemates. And they've resigned. Excellent.